I remember waking up on my 25XL day telling myself I wouldn't text it to anything. By now, I knew better. Every year since childhood had been festum. My sister Olivia showered with gifts, parties, and hugs while I was lucky to get a leftover cupcake. Or a muttered, "Don't complain." But that morning, Mom knocked on my door with a fake sing-song voice. "Get up, birthday girl, we have a surprise for you." Froze, her tone was too sweet. My father's laugh echoed from the kitchen, sharp and cruel. Olivia poked her head in, smirking. "Finally, they're giving you something. Don't faint." I wanted to believe, even just for a second, that just maybe, they had remembered I was human too. That maybe turning 25 meant something to them. At breakfast, there was no cake, no gift, just Mom's lighting a piece of cloth across the table. Put this on. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. It was a blindfold. I hesitated. Dad slammed his hand on the table, rattling the plates. "Do it. Don't ruin your own birthday." My sister laughed, clapping like a child at a circus. "This is going to be so good." I swallowed hard and tied the blindfold over my eyes. The darkness was since pressing. My parents' footsteps circled me like predators. I felt their hands grip my arms, dragging me outside. The cold wind stung my cheeks, but I didn't dare speak. The car ride was silent except for Olivia humming a cruel, mocking version of Happy Birthday. My father drove fast, thin Jean growling, louder than the quiet in the car. Every bump in the road felt like a warning. Finally, the car stopped. I heard barking, dozens of dogs barking. My heart dropped. Mom yanked off the blindfold and the light stabbed me eyes. I blinked and then I saw it. We were standing in front of a rundown dog shelter, the sign swinging in the wind, the smell of wet fur and concrete clung to the air. A volunteer walked past, confused by the scene. Dad shoved me forward so hard I stumbled onto the dirt. "Happy birthday, Mutt," he roared, his laughter booming. Mom crossed her arms, her eyes cold. "At least now you're worth looking at. Even dogs deserve a better than you." Olivia pulled out her phone and filmed me on the ground. Smile. "Birthday girl. This is the only party you'll ever get." I sat there, knees scraped, dust in my hair while he laughed. It wasn't just a laughter. It was triumph. Like this was the gift he had been planning all along. The volunteer tried to step closer, but Dad barked, "Mind your business. We're just leaving trash where it belongs." They get back in the car. The tires sputtered as they sped away, still laughing. Their faces burned into my memory through the window. So full of joy at my humiliation, the barking of the dogs surrounded me, echoing my shame. It wasn't their daughter. I wasn't family. I was an unwanted thing dumped on the side of the road. But sitting there with dogs whining and a stranger staring at me in pity, I felt something snap. The burn of tears turned into a steady flame inside my chest. I didn't scream, I didn't beg. I stood up slowly, brushing the dirt off my jeans, and whispered to myself, "They think this is the end of FM, but it isn't. This is where I start." And in that moment, I decided if they wanted to treat me like nothing, I'd make sure one day they realized what nothing really feels like. The volunteer had seen everything, stepped closer against the dust from my parents' car set. She was a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, but a softness in her voice. "Are you all right?" she asked Kid carefully, like I was a wild animal, a Budo bolt. I forced a nod, my throat burned, but I refused to let tears fall in front of her. "I'm fine," I whispered, though I wasn't. My chest dashed where Dad had shoved me, and my dignity felt shattered into a million. She didn't press. Instead, she handed me a small bottle of water. "I few need to sit inside for a bit. That eggs don't mind company." Her kindness was so different from the venom I had grown used to. It almost felt like a trick inside the shelter. Cages on its walls. Dogs of every shape and size press their noses through the bars, some barking, others wagging their tails wickedly. The smell was sharp, a mix of bleach and desperation. The volunteer introduced herself as she spoke about the shelter, about the dogs abandoned by families who had no room for them. Each word cut deeper because I realized I wasn't much different from them. My parents had found no room for me either. When she left me alone for a moment, I crouched down by a cage, a small mutt with a patchy coat pressed against the bars, licking my fingers. My tears finally broke, then spilling down silently as E whispered, "At least you know what E feel like." That night, I didn't go home. I wandered the city until dawn, my phone buzzing endlessly with "You looked pathetic on the ground. LOL. Bet the mutts liked you more than we ever did. Don't come home if you can't take a joke home." That word meant nothing. I found a cheap motel instead, staring at ceiling until morning. My body hurt, but my Pride hurt more. Over the next week, I drifted between shifts at theater where I worked and hours at theater shelter. Marlene didn't ask questions. She just let me sweep floors, refill water bowls, and sit with the animals with them. I didn't feel like trash, I felt seen. But every night when I lay down on the thin motel mattress, my parents' laughter replayed in my head. At least now you're worth something. Even dogs deserve better than you. Their voices weren't going to leave him until I answered them. On the third night, my phone lit up again. This time, it wasn't Olivia. It was Mom. Where are you? Don't make us come. Find you, your sister's engagement party is coming. Opened. You still owe us $5,000 for the family first. Don't forget that. My chest tightened. I didn't owe them anything. But they always twisted words until I questioned myself. They drained my savings before every time Olivia wanted a new car, a new phone, a trip, and I, the beautiful scapegoat, had been forced to smile and hand it over. Not anymore. I typed back one word. No. Minutes later, Dad called. His voice was thunder through the speaker. You ungrateful brat, after all we've done for you, this is how you repay us. You'll pay for this. Mark my words. I stared at the wall, my hands steady for once. No, I said again, and hung up. The silence afterward was terrifying, but also freeing. For the first time, I hadn't bent. The next morning, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My face looked harder. I realized something. If I was ever going to stop being their punching bag, I needed more than defiance. I needed a plan. So, I started watching them quietly. I returned home a few days later, pretending nothing had changed. Olivia's neared when I walked through the door. Oh, look. The runaway mutt came crawling back. Dad's eyes narrowed. Don't think forgot your little tantrum. You'll make up for it, you always do. Mom pressed a shopping list into my hand before I could even set down my bag. Groceries and don't cheap out. Olivia's imported chocolates for her engagement. I smiled, but it wasn't troll. Inside, my mind was racing. Every Sewell word, every shove, every stolen dollar, I stored it like ammunition. That night, as they laughed in the living room, I sat in my bedroom with door locked, writing down dates, times, what they said, how they spent, how they treated them like a servant, a punching bag, a ghost. I wasn't going to scream anymore. I was going to build something that would crush them without them even realizing it was coming. But Riven, about rushing. It was about precision over the next month. I kept playing the obedient daughter, the disposable sibling. I fetched, I cleaned, I nodded. All while I quietly shifted money from my paychecks into a separate account they didn't know existed. All while I asked casual questions and listened to their careless answers. I discovered things, ugly things they thought I was too stupid to notice. My father's business trips weren't always business. My mother's obsession with keeping Olivia perfect had costs she hid. And Olivia herself, her engagement was built only she thought would never surface. The more I learned, the more the plum inside me grew. One night, while they drank in the kitchen and mocked me loud enough for the neighbors to hear, I sat outside under the stars. The shelter dog's eyes flashed in my memory. That little mutt hadn't given up on me, even when I wanted to give up on myself. It realized something important. They had tried to bury me in dirt to reduce me to less than nothing. But all they don't know is give me the perfect ground to grow something sharp and poisonous in return. And when it bloomed, they would choke on it. The morning of Olivia's engagement party, the house buzzed like a hive. Mom stormed around in her sequined dress, barking orders. Dad adjusted his tie in the mirror, muttering about keeping good appearances. Olivia twirled in her white gown, glowing with entitlement. You'll serve drinks tonight. Mom snapped at me without looking. Don't embarrass us and keep out of the photos. You ruin the aesthetic. Olivia smirked. Yeah? Stay in the shadows. You look like the shelter mutts you love so much. Her words didn't sting anymore. They only fueled me because I knew something she didn't. That night, the backyard shimmered with fairy lights. Guests filled every table, laughter rising with music. My parents strutted like a royalty, Olivia soaking in every compliment. I floated between them with trays of champagne. Silent, unseen. Exactly how they liked it. But Miss Lynn's had teeth now. When the speeches began, Dad cleared his throat, dramatically clinking a glass. Tonight, we celebrate our beautiful daughter, Olivia. Her future, her happiness, her success. She is everything a childhood be, unlike others we've had to carry. His eyes flicked to me, the crowd chuckling politely at his cruelty. Mom leaned into the microphone. We've sacrificed so much to give her the best. A parent's duty, after all, is to nurture greatness, not dead weight. Their words echoed through the night, loud enough for every guest to hear. Olivia beamed like a queen. I waited until the applause died down, then stepped forward with my own glass in hand. Since this is a family celebration, I said, my voice steady, maybe it's time everyone here saw what kind of family this really is. The yard fell silent. Dad's face darkened instantly. Sit down, girl. Heg rolled through clenched teeth, but I didn't. Instead, I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small USB drive I'd carried for weeks. Marlene had helped me. She'd lent me equipment from shelter, office to digitize everything I'd collected. I plugged it into the projector that had been set up for a slideshow of Olivia's The screen flickered, and then my parents' own words filled the night. Clips of Dad roaring, "You'll pay with your ribs." Mom sneering, "We should have fed the dog instead of you." Olivia laughing, "Even mutts have more worth than you." One by one, the recordings I had secretly saved spilled out into Theopan. Their venom, their cruelty, their disdain, the very things they thought no one else would ever hear. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some guests stared horrified, others looked away, uncomfortable. Olivia's fiancé froze, his smile collapsing. Dad lunged forward, red-faced, "Turn it off." I stepped back, my hand raised. "Why? Isn't this the family you're so proud of? Let 'em see. Let them all see." The next recording played, this time about money. Dad, boasting at the kitchen table. "She'll pay for Olivia's engagement or you'll break her ribs again. What's Shay going to do? Run to the dogs?" Mom, laughing in the background. Olivia's fiance's parents exchanged looks, whispering. His mother's face twisted in disgust. His father shook his head. Then came Olivia's own voice, bragging on the phone. "Of course I didn't pay for the ring. My loser sister did. She always pays." The fiancé stood, his chair scraping back. "Is that true?" he asked, his voice trembling. Olivia stammered, reaching for him, but he shoved her hand away. The crowd erupted. Some guests lifted in silence, shaking their heads. Others whispered furiously. My parents' carefully polished image cracked in real time, crumbling with every second. "Ofex posure," Olivia screamed at me, her voice shrill. "You ruined everything, you jealous freak." I didn't flinch. I looked at her fiancé, who now stood rigid, disgust written all over his face. "You should know who you're marrying," I said simply. Then I walked away. Behind me, chaos exploded. Olivia's fiancé stormed out, his parents following. The party dissolved into whispers and stares. My parents shouted over each other, trying to salvage their reputation. But it was too late. The screen still looped their insults, their laughter, their venom. By the time I reached the street, I could hear Olivia's wails from inside the house, Dad's furious roars, Mom's desperate pleas to guests not to misunderstand. I didn't look back. Instead, I headed straight to the shelter. The mud who had licked my hand that first night would get his tail as I stepped in. Marlene looked at me, her eyes warm but sharp. "You look lighter," she said softly. I crouched beside the cage, letting the dog precede me. "Because I finally stopped buying their shadow," I whispered, infinitely let them choke on their own poison. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel worthless. I felt free. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.